Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I just want to say hello again.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss The Guest, which came out in 2014, written by Simon Barrett and directed by Adam Wingard. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows the Peterson family. They have just recently lost their oldest son, Caleb, who was a soldier in the American military. But they are then visited by David Collins, played by Dan Stevens, who served with Caleb in a unit. But there's something up with David, and Anna, the oldest daughter, starts to look into his past and realizes there is definitely something up with him.
That's military intelligence for you.
So the conception for this film was actually quite a bit different from the final product.
Okay.
Simon Barrett originally, when he was writing the script, had the idea about a soldier coming back from a war with PTSD and then murdering the entire family. Because he had a feud with another soldier that he was stationed with and killed that soldier and then decided to come and hunt down and kill his family.
Oh, right. Okay.
That was the original kind of setting, but he was just like, this is so depressing and so not fun to work with that he just kind of went, nah, done with that.
That'd be dark as fuck.
But then he'd been working with Adam Wingard on You're Next.
Yeah.
The two of them also collaborated on VHS
nice.
and VHS 2.
Nice.
Unfortunately, the two of them would, after The Guest, go on to do the Blair Witch sequel.
What, the remake?
It's a sequel.
What, the Book of Shadows,
no,
the
actual
remake one?
Blair Witch, not the Blair Witch, just Blair Witch.
I heard that one's not bad.
It's fucking awful.
Worse than Book of Shadows?
I don't actually consider Book of Shadows a Blair Witch movie.
Well, it says Blair Witch Book of...
Yeah, I know, but it's got nothing to do with the... But anyway, but Adam Wingard's going on now to do Godzilla vs. Kong.
Nice.
So he's definitely had, an interesting career path.
Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting that the conception for this film is not what it ended up being. But it was Adam Wingard who went back to it and just went, you know what? I want to do Halloween 3 meets The Terminator. And I'm going to take what you did with The Guest.
Yeah.
And this is the film that we've ended up with.
I was going to say, it's funny you say that because there are a lot of hints in the movie from that postscript. A soldier going to this family and something not right about him. And then, you are totally right. He's a fucking Terminator, and it's set at Halloween. I mean,
even the title when it comes up on
the
screen,
music.
It's a John Carpenter font title.
Yeah.
The music. The guy who scored the music got the synthesizers that John Carpenter used on Halloween 3 and went, that's the one he used on Halloween 3. That's the one I'm recording the music for this film on.
Yeah, it's like you just have that weird opening. Like I sat down to watch this film, and I'd wicked it ages ago, but I was getting it confused with the Nicole Kidman. I think it's Nicole Kidman in that movie. The name escapes me. I should have written it down. Where the guy comes and stays with the family, and I get those two movies mixed up. But this one starts with this guy just running. And I'm like, okay, that's not good. Because this guy looks like that's all he will do is just run from one location to another. And as a soldier with that amount of stamina, it's a good start. And the title comes up. And then there was that kind of boom as it cut into the movie. Yeah. And it's at Halloween. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of already feeling unsettled, and it's not even 5 minutes into the movie yet.
Right. Yeah, they kind of wanted to do an unmasked Michael Myers. They kind of wanted you to see his face, and when he turns up at the door with a beaming smile, you're just like, villain.
Well, that's it. You've got Laura Peterson, played by Sheila Keller, and you've got Leland Orser playing Spencer. Leland... Alien Resurrection. Get it out of me!
What's it fucking inside me?
Great actor. His wife, I saw that she'd been in LA Law, but nothing major. But there was something about this family. Their son's picture, Kayla's picture, is up on their mantelpiece. He's got his medals. And you immediately know that he's died. And as the oldest son, You know, the family are obviously dealing with this. You don't know how long he's been dead for. A year, maybe 2. But they're still dealing.
I think it's pretty fresh. I think it was in the last 6 months. That's the impression I got.
Yeah, but it's still fresh, you know, and the family is still trying to carry on. You know, Spencer's going to work. Luke is going to school. And Laura is just kind of just sat there, you know, she's upset as the mother would be. And then you see that kind of silhouette at the door. And I'm like, oh, I know it's him, but I really don't want it to be him because I'm kind of unsettled. And she opens the door and yeah, David Collins is stood there. Now, Dan Stevens, I'd seen, when I was looking at his filmography, I was like, I know that, but I haven't watched it.
Right.
You know, there was like, I think he was in Apostle, you know, but I did recognise that he played the Beast in the live action Beauty and the Beast. I was like, oh, that's not bad. I can see where they picked you up because you are a bit of a good looking guy, you know. Yeah. I was surprised the mum didn't throw herself at him because he was just so charismatic. You know, he was just so polite. And even though you're suspicious, and as the audience member, you know that there's something not right about him, he doesn't play on that. Like, he'll want to leave.
Yeah, he comes across really innocently, like, I've just come here to deliver this message, and he does, you know? And you have that heartfelt moment where the mum has just kind of received this information, and she's like, excuse me for a minute, and she goes into the closet or somewhere, and she just fucking breaks.
Into tears, yeah.
You know, I'm just like, you know, I'm a few minutes into this movie, and I'm already like, oh, man, like, you got me. Like, this is, I really, really feel for this family, and then she's like, look, you know, you've come here, you've brought goodwill, you know, just come and stay for a little while.
Yeah, there's no point
and
going
he's
all
just
the way
like,
back to town.
I've got to go. I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
But then, you know, and she introduces him to their daughter, and she's like, well, I've got to go off. I'm a waitress. Another Terminator reference.
yeah. You've got the daughter played by Maika Monroe, playing Anna, and I kept getting her confused with Amber Heard. You know, the two of them just looked quite alike. I was like, oh, it's the girl from Drive Angry. It's not the girl from Drive Angry. But, I mean, the film played it very well where the mum's just like, yeah, Anna's in bed, she's sleeping late, and then we get that shot of her just in bed in her pants, and I was like, okie dokie. But it's when she gets up and she's telling her mum that she's going to work, and she sees David, and David Collins, Dan Stevens, the actor, I fucking loved his facial expressions in this movie. Like, he could be standing there smiling straight to you, and then as soon as you move, it's gone, and his eyes, like, he's locked on target. Like, I immediately felt like there was something awkward between him and Anna.
Right.
You know, like of all the family members there, I felt like he was very highly attracted to her. Like, he kind of wanted her. But at the same time, you know, he would resort back to his innocent David, you know, and wanting to help everybody. So I was just like, oh, that just makes it even more uncomfortable.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because there is a sequence later in the film where he's kind of topless.
Oh, yeah, he's coming out of the shower.
Out of the shower, she's trying to get in. She thinks her younger brother's in there.
Yeah.
And when he comes out, there's that moment of just pure sexual energy.
Yeah.
And they reshot that sequence in the film more than any other sequence in the entire film.
Really?
Because they wanted to make sure that sexual chemistry, that chaos was bled through the screen so that it was received loud and clear. They wanted that. They felt that was a pivotal part in kind of, you know, situating these characters for you.
Yeah. Well, it's set up really well because her boyfriend Zeke, you know, they're just smoking weed in the park, and you know, I know that she does work at the restaurant, you know, the cafe, but it's like I wasn't too sure if she obviously she was lying to her parents. You know, her parents never liked Zeke and was hoping that she dumped him, but she was secretly seeing Zeke behind her parents' back. But yeah, when like she's uncomfortable with David at first, but then weirdly enough, when Anna starts to kind of, I don't know, look at her life, questions things going on with this guy who knew her brother, you know, she realizes that he's a lot better than Zeke is.
Right.
you know. And yeah, that scene where he opens up the door and he's just stood there and he's got the thumb down the towel, and I'm like, okay, that's way too much, dude. I don't need to see that much, you know. And
some trivia for you,
right?
That was actually one of the very last things they shot in the entire film, because Dan Stevens, you know, he was pretty. They said that when he auditioned for the role, he looked like Christian Bale from The Machinist.
Ooh.
They were like, he was, you know, wafer thin, skeletal, and so he had to go on an extensive kind of workout and diet for months into the film, and he was working out throughout the duration of the film, so his actual body mass changes because they shot the film out of order. So some scenes he looks buff as fuck, and then in others you look like a wind would knock him over. And I was, you know, and so when you're paying attention to the film, you do notice it. But obviously they shot that last because he was at his peak condition. He had not eaten anything for like 24 hours. Before filming, he drank a can of Diet Coke so that all of his veins kind of popped, and so he literally just looked like he had just come off a production line, you know.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Right. And I just think, that it does. It really works.
It starts off obviously with David starting to bond with each one of the family members. You know, he's easily worked his way in with the mum, and Spencer, the dad, when he gets back from work, he's a bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. You know, like, you've let this stranger into our home. How do you know he knew our son, really? And she's like, well, look at the picture. He's in the unit with Caleb, but he could be suffering from PTSD. Well,
it's a callback to the original script.
Exactly. And then Dad's, you know, Spencer comes in and just gets a drink, and at first David doesn't want to drink, which I'm like, okay, that would come off a bit suspicious. But then he's just like, yeah, okay, I'll have a beer with you. And the two of them start to bond, you know. And Spencer mentions about how he's worried that his wife is going to get upset that he hasn't reached the work status that he should at this point to
somebody new has come along and got promoted above him.
And you know, you could just see that, you know, David is listening and trying to help out. The same with when Luke, their son, comes home and he's got a black eye being picked on by those bullies. You know, it's kind of colour by numbers, but you kind of know that with how David is going to bond with each one of the family members, he's going to mess these bullies up because he's going to want to side with Luke. And it was just so awkwardly awesome how David goes and just picks Luke up from school, and they're sat in the car, and it was just such great dialogue sequences where he's just like, I want you to point out these guys. Why? What are you going to do? Nothing bad. I'm like, he's a trained soldier. You know?
I'm like, no, point him out, please. Point him out.
Point him out.
I want to see where this goes.
Yeah. And like you said, with the whole Terminator sequence, you know, they drive after these kids to a bar, you know, and when he said, like, I'm going to go in and get a drink, I was immediately thinking, all I could hear in my head was the Terminator 2 music.
Yeah. Right. And yeah, and, you know, he goes into the bar and sits down, he orders a drink, and obviously Luke comes in and sits down.
Yeah.
He goes up to the bar and he's just like, yeah, I want to order the girls some blowjob shots.
Yeah.
And some cocktails for the guys.
Yeah. The dialogue for this sequence was awesome, because the barman's just like, you can't have this kid in here, and David's just like, he's
so calm, so casual,
and yet so articulate that everybody he comes across, he just it's either he wins them over or he beats them into submission with just like
smile.
Logic. Yeah, because he's just like, what about those kids over there? What happens if you ID them? And the barman's like, oh fuck, okay, what do you want? I'll have a Coke. Well, my brother will have a Coke, and I'll have like this Tabasco hot sauce drink, and yeah, shots for the girls and cosmopolitans for the guys. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, because the barman's like, you know
you're trying to start a fight.
Yeah, and David's like, no, I know. And he pulled out this big wad of money, and everyone, you just, like, the film like loosely leaks little subtle things of, this isn't normal.
Right. Because there's one point people ask him, like, you know, how financially stable are you? And he's like, you know, cash is easy to come by.
Oh yeah, I love that line. Yeah,
I'm just like, okay, it's just hints at his life that you're not being given the whole picture.
No,
and that is the mystery of the film. It's like, who is he? Is he a guardian angel? Has he been heaven sent to help this family?
Bullshit. He's a goddamn Terminator, because this sequence proves it. One of the bullies comes over and it's just like, oh yeah, thanks for a drink, but I don't want it. And he just throws it in David's face, and I'm like, oh, because immediately
I'm like, come on.
Well, that's it. As soon as the bully has thrown the drink, David has every right now to defend himself.
Right.
He's not started the fight. The other guy has. And so he grabs his Tabasco hot sauce drink and throws it in the guy's eyes, which I'm like, that's going to sting. And then he moves faster. He takes the hits. He hit like there was one kid I thought he killed.
Right, yeah.
You know, because he hit him so hard. I was like, he's just thrown his nose bone up into his brain. Yeah, man. But I don't know. I think he just. I think that kid you see later on in the movie with like a broken jaw.
That's right.
You know, and he's on the floor, and then the barman's all ready to beat the shit out of David, and David just goes, why don't you call the police and tell them that this happened, because then you won't lose your license and they'll get in trouble, and you never saw my face, and here's the money for the damages.
Smooth,
yeah. So when David returns home with Luke and the mum is confronted with the idea her son was in a fight, you know, David says, look, we took care of it, and the mum convinces Anna to take David to a party, which she's going to meet up with Zeke. And she doesn't really want to take David at first, but then she sees him get out of the shower and she's like, hubba, hubba, hubba. And decides to obviously take him anyway. But she's still, like, right, you immediately know that Anna, Maika Monroe's character, is meant to be that rebellious teen. I mean, even though she's in her 20s, you know, she's hating on her parents. She's still probably suffering from the loss of her brother.
I got the feeling that she was kind of just staying with her family for now, just whilst they dealt with the loss of the brother.
Yeah, and
like she was now the oldest, you know, child.
Which works towards the whole David relationship, because she starts to see David as kind of a way out.
In a way,
you know?
yeah.
A way out of this town, a way out from the shitty life, because, you know, he's good looking and smart and he's got money and this, that and the next thing. But when they get to this party, I mean, I immediately recognize Joel David Moore as Craig, the weed guy. I've seen him in Dodgeball, and he was one of the scientists from Avatar. And it's just, you know, it's so funky. He's, you know, Craig is just sat there like smoking on this blunt, like, yeah, fucking all I do is smoke weed and get high, you know. And he goes to hand it to Anna, and she's like, look, I can't, because, you know, David will tell my parents and I'll get in trouble. And then David walks in carrying those 2 kegs. And you're like, dun, 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 dun. You know, and then walks into the room and just takes the blunt off of Craig and takes a really big hit and just blows it off. And then hands it to her like, I won't tell if you won't tell. But Anna's friend Kristen is kind of, you know, taken back by David. But weirdly enough, like I said, there was still this awkwardness with David and Anna. Like, Anna goes off with her boyfriend Zeke, and David's left with Kristen, and they go off and have sex.
But it's after he kind of smacks her ex-boyfriend's head into the picture on the wall.
What do you mean, kind of? Fucking fully does.
Knocks him out, has to get his 2 mates to drag him out.
Man, it was so fast. I was like, whoa,
yeah.
shit. I thought they were going to have a throwdown. And this was where the movie kind of started to knock me a little bit. Slightly. Like, I was really getting behind it, but I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. This guy moves so fast. Like, I can understand that he's a trained Special Forces soldier, but that head smash off the wall was so fast. You know, it was T-800 fucking style. Bang! Matrix style. You know, and then he's just still charismatic enough to have sex with this girl.
Well, the thing is, there's another clue to his personality there, where she's kind of straddling him. And she's just like, you're kind of not into this, are you?
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, okay, I've got to get into this. And then he kind of takes over the situation.
Yeah, switches and
yeah.
has her there.
I was like, there was no emotion there. There was no response, no physical response
until
he was told he had to.
Yeah, until he switched.
It was like he was found out.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, my cover.
I've got to carry on.
There's a kind of a moment where the film announces to you that the film's now going to take a much, much darker turn, where it just cuts to the landscape.
Well, isn't that when, after they've gotten home, you know, they've had this whole conversation in the car, Anna and David, where she's upset with her boyfriend Zeke, his life's not going anywhere, you know, she wants to leave town and go to college, and and David tries to give her some advice, which is good advice. If you were my girl, I'd never let you go. I'd have probably never gone over there and got this shrapnel in me and blah, blah, blah. And
he basically says everything that she needs to hear or wants to hear.
But then when she goes in and climbs into bed to listen to music because she's going to make him a playlist, like, he's just staring. Like, I don't think he sleeps.
No, he doesn't need
There was
to
just a couple of
anymore.
sequences where he just sat down and just... And like I said, part of me was like I can understand he's maybe a psychopath. But, when she overhears a conversation that he's having with somebody, she starts to look into his background. She calls the army base, and the army base tried to look into the information for David Collins, and now the movie goes woo, because it goes access denied, KPG Corporation, and I'm like, okay, that's not good. When private corporations start messing with our soldiers. I've seen Universal Soldier. I know this is going to end badly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the film had test screenings, and all of the test screenings, they came back and just said all that stuff with the KPG was just filler. It was unnecessary. You removed the mystery as to what was going on. So, and the writer and the director were like, yeah, we didn't want to put that in there, but the studio kind of made us put it in there. Yeah. And so now that you've watched it and gone, that doesn't work, we've taken it out, and I feel the film's better for it. You get just enough to figure out what actually happened.
See, I don't know. I don't know about that because when they go to the KPG Corporation, when the film goes to there, and you see Lance Reddick, he was in charge of, well, I don't know. Was he in charge of the unit? Was he in charge of the experiment?
Probably yeah.
Like, why did he pick David? Did he pick Caleb
he
as
says
well?
In the car why he picked him. He said that he was the best candidate for the program because of how empathetic and sympathetic, how charismatic, how friendly of a person he was.
Yeah, but then my mind, like my mind started to ask, like, what they've done. Like, I've seen a lot of films that they've done this, like, like I said, Universal Soldier and the Bourne movies, where I'm like, okay, so you're looking at maybe psycho drugs going into him, maybe putting one of those things on, like from Street Fighter, where he just gets all the violent images all the time.
The best thing the way I can explain it from the script and from what's been mentioned is that he's kind of like the female human Terminator from Terminator Dark Fate. Where he's been kind of bio-enhanced.
You had to go there, didn't you? You couldn't just say,
that he had a spinal
soldier.
injury in war, and obviously the operation kind of made him like a Terminator, which is why they went, we want to make a Terminator movie, and
which in a way kind of explains it to me now. Now overthinking it is like he's made the promise to Caleb probably when Caleb was injured, and then he's been injured, and then he's been put into this program, and he leaves the program to carry out the promise, but because of the program, anybody that suspects him of not being truthful, he's going to annihilate.
He's programmed to clean up all loose ends. I doubt he could stop himself now, even if he wanted to.
Yeah.
I use annihilate very loosely.
But they also removed all of the empathy from him, all emotion from him, so he can't feel anything. He's got no pain receptors.
No, you noticed that, yeah.
And that's why when he was having sex, he was just unresponsive, because he doesn't feel anything anymore.
Yeah.
And so he kind of has to pretend. But at the same time, in the notes also says that he can control his own adrenaline as well. So when he needs to be active, he can just...
and like I said, overthinking it, if he wants to leave because he doesn't want to put this family in danger, but they're telling him, no, you have to stay, he's programmed to stay.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't realize that he's putting the family more and more in danger by staying, because they've told it, and he's just following instructions. Wow, I did overthinking it.
Yeah. Well, this is the point in the film where a lot of people just went, this is the greatest thing ever, or this is the worst movie I've seen in a fucking decade.
Yeah.
Like, the first hour is solid.
Yeah.
But then, the film has been on this trajectory. Things have been escalating to this point.
Because he looks to go get a gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, why do you need a gun?
And he's like, well, I'm a ex-soldier guy, so I like guns.
But then when it comes to the gun sequence, and he meets up with Craig and the gun seller in the middle of this quarry,
He dismantles that gun. He puts it back together.
Which is all fine. But he's gone there with the intent to kill these men and take the guns.
Look, man, if you brought money for all of them, I'll cut you a deal. You can take them all off my hands.
No, I'm going to kill you.
But why? I mean, like, I know that he'll need them for protection later on in the story, but at the same time, I've already kind of accepted the fact that he's a badass and he could probably just do the same job with his hands a lot faster and a lot easier. It just, the guns, for me, were just kind of there as props to make the sequences later on to be even bigger. But when he returns home, when David returns to the Peterson home, it's after Spencer has come home, and Spencer has come in and he needs another drink.
Well, it's because he's just found out that the guy who got promoted above him just got murdered along with his wife in their house.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, David, what have you done?
And now he's got the job.
Yeah, Spencer, and that's where my brain was like, everything's working out for the family, He's
doing what he promised.
He's doing what he promised. He's taking care of them. I suppose that's why he killed Craig, because Zeke
influence. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Zeke calls Anna and says that he's been arrested and the gun that was used to kill Craig was found in his truck.
Yeah. To set him up, to get rid of him.
And yet Anna knows, kind of like as the heroine, she knows that this is just not normal.
It's one of those kind of 80s tropes, isn't it, where the kids know what's going on and the adults don't.
Yeah. But Luke goes to school because Anna says to him, look, you need to find out. I've searched David's phone. I've found some phone numbers. I need you to look up online and see who they are. And this sequence made me laugh because Luke walks into his classroom and there's a kid at the front with a big-ass cowboy hat on. Like, he sat at the front, And it's like anybody sat behind him is not going to see anything. But Luke sits down and starts going through the computer, and one of the bullies, starts to pick on him again, and he takes the advice from David and stands up for himself and fights the bully. And then David and Laura, the mum, are called in to the school. And the principal, he tries to put Laura down. He tells her what's what. We're suspending your son. We can't have this kind of stuff. And David just does his thing again. Like, I was making notes about how to talk to people from David, because it's like, oh, I'm sorry, what did the guy say? Oh, he called him gay? Oh, well, that's a
faggot.
Yeah, right. He called him faggot because he's gay. So that's a hate crime. That makes him a hate crime. And you can't do any of this, and we're basically going to sue you. And the principal is just taking, like, everybody that David's come across.
The colour just drained out.
Oh! He's like, well, maybe just a month's detention. Yeah, okay, that's acceptable. Like, I'm like, just say yes, because he'll kill you.
Right.
But this strengthens the bond between Luke and David. And Luke...
It double downs on it, really, doesn't it? Because there's that really dark moment where David's talking to Luke and he's just like, look, you can't let bullies ruin your life. You just need to go around there and burn their houses down with them inside it. It's just like,
what the fuck are they going to do?
What
the fuck are they going to do? Here, take this knife as well. Keep this butterfly knife on you, because...
You need to stand up for yourself more.
Yeah. I thought he was going to use it in the school, which I was like, well, that's a bit too far.
Yeah.
But yeah, Luke says to David, look, Anna's looking into the information and we found out about the doctor, and obviously we know that you're in hiding, and I don't fully believe it. But there was just this, like, I was in shock, or like I was amazed by this sequence where the camera slowly starts to zoom in on David's face. And as he's talking to Luke, he's kind of got this smile on his face, and then it just slowly drops. And he's got this really intense stare, like he'd kill Luke,
right,
instantly, right there and then if he has to, or maybe the program's kicking in saying that you have to take care of everybody now because your
cover's up.
Your cover's up. But then he immediately comes back and goes, yeah, no, it's all right. And I'm like,
yeah. Well, things not really, because the next day he's helping the mum do the laundry.
Yeah, this was a sequence as well that kind of was a bit just jarring for me, because everything else had been so good up to this point that the Major turns up and he's been calling in all of his favors, looking for KGB, CIA, ex-mercenaries, whatever, because he needs backup to take this guy down. And I was like, the Major knows what he's dealing with. He's gonna go in there and there's gonna be a fucking big, spectacle happen. But they turn up and they're like, oh, have you seen this man? And they're all just stood there casually like...
I don't think the mercs have any idea. They just think it's just another kind of bounty, that they're bringing in.
But that's even worse, because the Major knows that David is a badass fucking killing machine.
But I don't think he knows how much the program's worked. He seems like a prototype, and he also seems like he's doing this illegally. So he's trying to keep this on the down low as well.
Which is all fine, but as a kind of a background for this character, it's just a loose plot or info bit there that the Major's gone from being the top guy of this army program, that makes these badass fucking Terminator people, and then turns up and goes, oh, I won't inform you guys who are supposed to take him down about exactly what you're dealing with. I'll just give you all the guns, because David spots them, pulls out a gun, kills 2 of them instantly.
Dives into the house.
They start unloading into the house. I'm like, whoa.
The poor family's house.
Whoa, we're not giving a shit, are we? This is going completely out the window. The mum makes the run. David's been injured, but he doesn't feel it. And then the mercenaries start to go in there, and he just takes them down. Yeah. Each one, shoots them in the face, shoots them down. It's when he gets to the mum that I really felt bad, because, she's like, what's going on? And he's apologizing. He's like, I'm sorry, Miss Beeson. I did really come here to help you, but your son will understand this, because she goes to scream the info, and he just jams a knife right into her chest and kills her. And I was like, whoa, okay, you are definitely the fucking bad guy now. Like, right. I kind of knew you were the bad guy, but now you've really fucking cemented you're the bad guy. And the Major's just like, all right, I'm going in, give me some cover and fire from the last guy who's remaining with the big fucking M60. But the Major climbs in there, but David bursts out in the car, blows the tires out, shoots the last guy, and he's down the road. And I'm like, no snipers. I mean, all right, no helicopter cover, because you're trying to keep it on the down low, but... Right. I don't know, maybe I was taking it too much Universal Soldier Born supremacy territory at this point, where I'm supposed to keep it more in the Halloween 3 kind of realm.
Kind of campy fun.
Yeah, universe. Because, I suppose that is the kind of the funny little joke as well, because David drives down the road, sees Spencer coming towards him, puts his seatbelt on and just smashes into Spencer's car.
Right.
And then shoots him right there. I was like, fuck. And then he just runs off. And the Major turns up, and his tires are just burnt rubber down. And he turns to the old man that's in the road, and he's like, military police, I have to commandeer your car. And he goes.
Yeah. And that's because David has made his way to the restaurant that Anna works at.
Yes.
And he shoots the girl that he had the fling with.
Well, the Major's already been in, hasn't he? Picked up Anna
and gotten out of there.
And yeah.
And so David just kind of rolls those grenades in there. Like, oh man.
Like when he shot Kristen, I was like, oh man. All those witnesses in the... Oh.
Right.
Well, then, okay. And the little conversation the Major has on the phone, like, what? Yes? Okay. Whoa. And Anna's just like, what happened? And he's just like...
Both your parents are dead.
He's just blown up the restaurant as well. And it's like, this is the moment. I suppose this is the only moment in the movie where the Major does give the little bits of info. That they put David into this program. He was the best. It's gone way too far. The programming in his head means that he has to kill everybody who finds out about it. And I was like, oh, okay, that kind of fills some of the shit in.
It was just enough information to keep the film going and not weigh it down or go off on a tangent.
On a complete different one, yeah. Because you don't want to, at this point, you don't want to feel anything for David. You know, if they start going into, I don't know, back history about how he was a nice college boy and it just, the program fucked him up, you'd be like, poor David. But you don't. You go, run.
Yeah.
Because they get to the Halloween dance and Luke has obviously been there to do his detention. And there's that whole maze.
Yeah, like, the Halloween maze.
Yeah, like... Let's go really over the top with this final sequence. We'll make you go through this Halloween maze. It's
It's
scary.
very, very American, I would say, yeah.
Very effective for the film because this whole final sequence,
There's even more callbacks to Halloween 3 because obviously, I don't know if you noticed, Iain, you had the 3 Halloween masks. The witch, the skeleton, and the jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah. I think as well, there was at one point in the war, I'm pretty sure, maybe I was imagining it, but I think it said, "You're next." written in the background, but it was kind of covered, and I was like,
call back to the previous film.
But they come across Luke, and they're like, look, the Major's like, I need to get you out here. I need to get you safe. And I'm thinking, you really did not plan this all the way through, did you, Major? Like if the Major was like an evil guy, he'd have just shot the 2 kids there. It would have saved a lot of problems. But he's trying to save these kids, and the teacher, I'm like, cannon fodder.
Right. Because
he just runs. He's just running, and they're like, slow down. And then he comes back around the corner, and his throat is slit. And I'm like, but the Major then obviously he sends the kids off on their own, and he's trying to face David off on his own, and David gets that hell of a good slice with the Stanley blade right up the wrist.
Yeah.
So it's not like a long drawn out fight or a particularly gruesome death, but it was effective enough to say that guy's going to be dead in 5 minutes.
Yeah, just going to bleed out.
I mean, why David doesn't take the gun? I was just like, in my experience as a film watcher, that's going to come up again in the future. I thought the Major was going to come back, but no, he fucking dead.
Yeah.
Anna forces Luke to hide, and she's planning on luring David away. And Luke's like, no, I don't want to. I want to stay with you. He doesn't at first believe that his parents were dead. I felt like Luke was, at some points, a really weak character for some of the sequences.
Well, he was so kind of taken by having this guy, David, come and look after him, kind of sort his life out for him, address the bullies, kind of elevated him and gave him some
bigger
attention.
Brother. Yeah, he needed a bigger brother.
It gave him a bigger brother, and more so that because the family's so disjointed, so he kind of really latched onto him. He's a young impressionable child, and I totally brought that relationship.
Yeah, I don't know, like I said, the family, the whole family dynamic when you properly looked at it was fucked up.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was kind of expected with a loss in the family like that. You see it in countless other stories.
Yeah. But it's Luke's there, and he's like, no, I don't want to, and Anna lures him. Anna runs off, and David comes in. He's screaming for Luke. Luke's hiding, but then David hears something and goes off. Realizes the gun is missing. Follows some bloody footprints. Realizes Anna has taken her boots off. And then is shot.
Yeah.
And goes down. But then gets back up again. Like, he falls in the mist. I'm like, Predator 2?
Right.
and he grabs her to the floor, starts to strangle her. And I'm like, I know she's not going to die at this point. When Luke comes behind him and stabs him, I'm like, oh, he dead.
Right.
Nope.
But I was just like, at least then, Luke's kind of had this character arc where he did stand up and defend himself by taking out the villain. Like,
it's a great final part because he stabs him in the neck. David's still standing. Then he stabs him in the chest, and David stands there and falls and says, "I don't blame you."
He gives him the Terminator thumbs up.
He gives him the thumbs up, like. You did it, yay, and then slumps. And I'm like, Anna, get the gun and shoot him in the face like 8 times.
Yeah, it's a horror movie, reminiscent of the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, you need to triple tap.
You need to fucking kill, this guy killed your parents. Take some of that fire that
Decapitation, disembowelment.
Throw it on him. Just set him on fire. Just don't leave it. And that's what they do because they go outside.
They're sat at the back of the ambulance. The medic's just like, you both okay? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, our parents are dead. Our friends are dead.
But we'd seen David limping earlier from the damage he had taken. Obviously, he was shot in the leg earlier.
Yeah.
And you look over and you see the firefighters coming out, and one of them's limping.
Yeah.
The camera comes up to his face, and you can see David in the fireman's outfit.
Yeah.
And Anna just turns to the camera and is like, no fucking way.
Yeah. And it ends, and I think he kills everybody there.
Probably.
Yeah. I'm like, he would have definitely killed them too. If the programming was working the way it is, he would have gone to go get them.
Yeah.
And then everybody else would have come in and
killed the firefighters, killed the ambulance crew.
If maybe the police force maybe would pull their gun and put loads of bullets into it, but they're like, my mind was like, he killed a lot after that.
Yeah, now a lot of people are screaming for a sequel.
No,
it's but the thing is, it's like it's an 80s movie, so it's not, but it's
but
it feels like one. And so in which case you're wondering where the other 4 sequels are. But at the same time, the writer and director just went, nah, like we don't want to blemish this.
Yeah,
we're not cash cowing this. This is what it is.
Because immediately when you see The Guest 2 come up, it's gonna ruin it.
It will do, yeah. It's like, what do you want? More of the same?
Yeah, because that's all you'll get. If David what's David gonna do? Turn up at another house? Is there somebody else from the program?
Yeah. Like, I love sequels, but this kind of doesn't. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, why did they? Like, he was getting fingers and teeth for the plastic surgeon, wasn't he? Yeah, because they say at the end there were 2 bodies in there and they're missing their teeth.
Yeah.
So like, David took the time after he was stabbed to go and smash their teeth in.
I guess there's 2 bodies inside, both of them pretty badly burned. One of the guys said the teeth are missing. Got knocked out, so I don't know what the deal is.
Like I said, there were a few things in the movie where I went,
Yeah. Well, I guess you can kind of read alternate theories, because some people like to go, actually, David is Caleb and he's had plastic surgery and looks different.
I did think that at one point.
But the writers have turned around and still gone, no. It's interesting. Like, all these other theories and ideas you can have for the film is because it doesn't give you all the information. Lets your mind kind of guess and wonder.
Yeah.
So, Ian, what was your favourite scenes from the movie?
I've got a couple. I mean, the movie in itself was really, really good. But David ordering drinks at the bar, like, not just the fight sequence, but just the dialogue sequence, you know, him talking to the barman, you know, being just so smooth with it all, you know, and you know that even if the barman tried to say and stand up to David's just going to take him down in a couple of hits.
Yeah, it was so well written.
Yeah, like I said, all I heard was that music from Terminator 2, you know, and him just walking around just beating the shit out of everybody. No, I'm going to kill you and take all the guns. I think blunt.
Yeah,
you know?
that was the moment in the film where you just go, okay, now he is the villain. That's the first time you've seen him on screen killing people, and
yeah. He's just like, I'm just going to kill you, and they're like, what? And that's what he does. He just takes them all down. And I'm like, don't meet people in quarries, you know, especially strange army people. Favorite number 3 was that facial expression from David standing in the school with Luke. It was just so intense. And just the way he just went from liking everything he's hearing to planning to kill absolutely everybody, you know, was just, fucking awkward. And then immediately brings it back again. I'm like, don't let him back in the fucking house. Get everybody out of there. The rolling the grenades into the restaurant. Like, like I'd seen the grenades earlier. And I was like,
was David just grinning ear to ear as he rolled those grenades in?
Yeah, he's like, I have to kill you all now. Bye. You know, it took me back to Long Kiss Goodnight with the grenade. I was like, oh, yeah, those are proper grenades. Yeah. That's it for me.
Yeah, I kind of echo your favourite scenes as well. The bar fight itself.
Yeah, and, it doesn't use a lot of CQC.
It was really well filmed and quite well choreographed, and the fight was over in a kind of a realistic way. It was like 1 or 2 hits, you're down. And
realistic, like, he moves fast.
Yeah.
For a human.
Yeah, I know. It was cool to watch. I kind of wanted more of that.
As soon as he dodged out of the way, I'm like, you ain't gonna hit him, and if you do hit him, you're dead.
Yeah, yeah. Again, the sequence where he does get the guns, where he dismantles the gun and kills the guy, and just the dialogue there, yeah, very good. Leland Orser, you know, as we mentioned, him as Spencer, you know, just a bit of comic relief, really.
I was going to say, his sequence when he's talking about his boss dead, you know, I mean, you haven't seen this, but with everything that you have seen, you know David's done it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's done it so well that it looks like a suicide.
Right.
You know, it looks like they were into something, and Spencer's just there like, well, now I'm regional manager. And you're like, okay, we're supposed to be happy?
Yeah, but we know, the behind what happened.
Yeah.
But I guess one of my favourite things about the film was the synth wave soundtrack.
Yes, the soundtrack.
Obviously, all the music was recorded on those synthesizer keyboards, but the music was outstanding. It was a little bit kind of weird that everybody in the film was listening to synthwave. Like, you go to the party, they're listening to synthwave, they're listening to it in the car.
Yeah.
The soundtrack of the film is synthwave.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that 80s industrial goth music. That's kind of, a lot of people have then gone, oh, this film's just like Drive. And it's because the soundtrack's very similar.
And I suppose the storyline as well, because Ryan Gosling in Drive can kick ass too.
Yeah, and they kind of look similar, the blonde, handsome guys.
I reckon he'd get his ass handed to him by David.
Well, yeah, I think so too.
Like, I know Ryan Gosling can fight in Drive, but
yeah,
David's a Terminator.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the music in the film. For me, that was the icing on the cake. And also, I think it should come as no surprise that I'm definitely going to be recommending this film. This was quality entertainment with solid performances, great action sequences, and a solid, well-paced structure. Dan Stevens is really good in the lead role of David, playing the mysterious and enigmatic character that you kind of want to explore and know more about.
Yeah.
The synthwave music worked great. It was reminiscent of the 80s films, but it didn't feel old-fashioned or out of place for a film that was clearly inspired by John Carpenter and James Cameron.
Yeah.
The film is intense, and it's also brilliantly, darkly comedic in places, so it didn't take itself too seriously. For me, this is a must-watch. It's a cult classic candidate for sure. It's stylish, thrilling. It's old school mayhem, and I loved it.
I wasn't too sure if I was going to recommend this or not, but weirdly enough, after talking with my compadre here about the different views on the film, and then obviously analysing all the different sequences, I definitely recommend it. You know, just so that you get more people to talk about it. Because for me, when I was sat there, I was inside my own head like, how does that work? And how does this work? And how does that work? And how does this work? And then when I talk to somebody who's seen the film, and they go, well, what about this? And what about that? And you go, oh, I didn't know that info. And that makes that stand out. And that's kind of explainable. You know,
I love it when a film does that.
Yeah, in one big package with a little red bow on top of it. Somebody goes, here's the guest. You're going to have a fun time. You're going to feel a bit awkward in a few places, but there's going to be some moments where you go, that was really good. I don't want to see that again. And then the film's over. And you're like, no fucking way.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.